March 10th roads meeting to order.
Make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I'll second.
Any comments, questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Passes. Item 3, approve minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from February 11th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Passes. Number 4, road financial information.
For capital improvement plans, for this year, capital budget, we have not taken out, hardly any money on those two, so not a lot to report on that. We are doing the plans and specifications for Durant Street and, the service road project that will go from 187th out to Viking. They've done the, engineering. It's gonna go to council, I think, at the end of this month for approval to put out for bid. And then Durant will be later this spring yet. They're gonna do soil borings maybe this week and next week, so.
Hey, can you make the fonts a little bigger on these things?
Yeah, for some reason that one, I don't know why it came out so small on that first one. Second one's bigger. Second one is our operations budget. There again, not a lot to report. Thankfully, we haven't had any snow for 3.5 weeks, so. Our salt shed's full. We should be fine from here on out now with the warm weather. We don't use hardly any salt in April and second half of March, so it melts off pretty quick.
I remember last year.
Yeah, knock on wood. The big items in there are ones that come out right away in the beginning of the year, so the equipment replacement fund. Item 422 is the license tabs for vehicles. We'll have to bump that up when we do our budget just to reflect what our actual cost is.
That's crazy how much that cost. The owner of the place I work for, it's like 12 grand it cost
Oh.
him, you know.
Luckily for us, the government's cheap.
Oh,
Private is,
Where I work, it's like 20-some grand.
yeah.
That's crazy, yeah.
And don't try and go to the DMV in February, 'cause it's nuts. in there.
Campers, motorcycles, commercial vehicles.
Yeah. We had to change out some license plates. I had to go sit down there during the day and wait through that disaster. Workers' comp is another one that comes out of the first. That's a little bit more than we had planned in the budget, but not significantly, not a lot of money. Any questions on the operations budget?
All right, number 5.
Item 5, roads capital improvement budget. The Roads Commission prepares a capital improvement plan annually which updates projected projects, evaluates priorities, and establishes funding for these works for the coming year and for each of the subsequent years for a 5-year period. The plan is presented to the City Council for their approval and use for preparing the coming year's budget. Attached is the 2020 to 2024 road CIP and a draft 2021 to 2025 road CIP. We will discuss those projects that are listed for 2021 and determine if they need to stay in their current funding year or be rearranged to reflect any changes in our road priorities. Other projects can be added and existing ones can be deleted if there is a need for restructuring the schedule. The City of East Bethel has received a municipal state aid allotment of $645,918,000 for 2020, which is $47,716 above the estimated allotment based on the 2019 amount. Staff is seeking input from the Road Commission on which projects to prioritize and add to the MSA Capital Improvement Plan and the Roads Capital Improvement Plan for the next 5 years. Possible items for addition to the municipal state aid CIP include Davenport Street from 209th up to and including 213th Avenue, 181st Avenue from Highway 65 to Jackson Street, University Avenue from Sims Road to 221st, Klondike Drive, and Phase 3 and Phase 4 of the municipal service road plan. So we've got the two attachments on there. The second one is color coordinated just to try and keep the years evenly matched up. The green numbers are money that will be coming into the account. Why don't we start with the street capital one, or the MSA fund.
Oh, there we go.
So in purple, there's 181st. That's a joint project with Ham Lake. We've had this one in our schedule for a while.
Yeah.
We've spoken with Ham Lake. They have it in their schedule. It's a road that needs it bad.
It's on theirs for 2021?
Yep,
Okay.
same as us. Davenport Street is the road that goes from kind of behind by the post office down to 209th on the way to the arena. It's the only stretch along there that hasn't been improved. It's in pretty rough shape as well. And then the other one that we have that's in need of work is University Avenue from Sims Road to 221st. So those three are kind of prioritized in those locations. The beginning balance we show on here of $201,203 is based on probably a conservative estimate for what Durant Street is gonna cost this year. That one could end up being a lot more money depending on how in-depth we wanna get on it. The city has requested $1.9 million from our MSA fund as advanced funding to cover ourselves for the service road project in case we need to get things started before we get the money from MnDOT. We might have to dip into that a little bit. Jack and I and Craig have discussed that, and we don't think it's gonna be a very significant amount, but that might change the schedule here a little bit. We'll know more as we get into April and May. But we show a balance all the way out to 2025 on here. In 2024, we're at 1.2 million, so the fund is pretty healthy enough to cover our projects. We wanna make sure we get these three projects, I think, done when we have them shown. University Avenue is with the City of Oak Grove, and they have that in their schedule too. We're gonna confirm with them again to make sure that's still a go, but last time we talked to them, that was still in their schedule too.
As you said, for 2023?
2023,
Yeah, okay.
correct. Yep.
I guess that's what I was wondering, is if these partnerships with the other cities, if they're on the same time frame.
Yep.
Hate to lose their backing if
Yeah.
we're dragging it out too far.
Yep. So then in the bottom 2 years there, 2024 and 2025 are just kind of placeholders for potential service road projects or anything else that pops up if we have to do some work on one of our existing MSA roads. We've got a map here that shows kind of where these are at too. So here's University Avenue. This is the Davenport section. Durant we're doing this year. We can make this smaller so it all fits on there. The East Side Service Road is only this half. And then 181st is down here.
So Nate, am I understanding right, are we talking about just whether or not we should leave these three in the spots they are, or are we talking about maybe we should move them up to the 2021?
Well, we probably only have enough money to do one of them in 2021. And that one's in place with Ham Lake, so this is just a draft that I put together that we're looking for input from the road commission. If anything needs to be moved, or if you guys see any other projects in the city that are a higher priority.
Yeah, as you said, these have been on our list for many, many years.
Been on
so
here
I
for a
don't
long
see-
time.
Yeah. If those other places are on track for the same years, you know, I don't know why we would move or change any of that.
So that East Side Service Road, do we have all the easements?
For this piece,
Yes.
yes, yep, I believe so. Except for the property this first piece. In the city council.
Status on that?
City council's working on that one. I think they voted last night for condemnation.
Yeah, the quick take.
Of which part?
This is the city purchased this one right at 187th. That was that little get you moved realty building, and that's been removed. It's the one to the south of that. I can bring it up on the GIS, might be easier to see.
So what's that gonna cost us? For the condemnation or quick take, cause I mean, if that's a gas company that owns it, they got a lot of money. I know, is it gonna be an issue of a lot of money in court, or is that just,
Or any resistance
we can
at all.
slip in and get it and be done?
So it's this piece here. It's owned by, is it Feral Gas? I think it's Feral Gas. They keep, these are all propane tanks, and this is a large filling tank. They've rented out this front building to a bunch of different businesses over the years. Right, it's been vacant now for probably close to a year.
Is
So-
there history then? Has it been approached and they don't wanna sell, or how did?
There's been some negotiations between the two, and they've had a hard time communicating with anybody there with a company like that.
Okay.
They made an offer, and there was a counter offer,
Oh.
and Tom, you probably know more about this than I do.
It's a lot of propane tanks.
Their last price was $299. I think it appraised for about $325, $327, maybe something like that. And with this quick take,
Is that like a tax seizure, or what do you mean?
huh?
A quick take, what does that mean?
That's a new one on me.
Jack and the attorneys have been doing most of it. A lot of it's not public, what they talk about stuff too, but
Well,
he'd be a lot more knowledgeable than I am on it.
off the record.
It comes a,
Property's a done deal. The only thing to contest is the property value.
I see. Okay.
I think that building's empty right now.
yeah, I think it is too.
Yeah, the place I was in there just moved out.
So the road's gonna come back through here. This piece will be removed. And then come back to the intersection.
Okay.
So are we like driving these people out of business?
There is no business
There's no
there.
business there now.
Well, driving them out of the property.
Well, they're selling it, it sounds like they agreed on the price, but it was, yeah,
Well,
I
if
guess
it's
we don't
quick,
have enough
if it's
information.
quick take, then it's not an agreed on price.
And we have I think it's a 100-foot lot. We have a 50-foot easement the city already has through here
We own about a third of it.
already. And then it cuts across the back too. So this is already this is from a project that was back in the late 2000s when they were gonna put a grocery store in there.
I guess we find out more details later on, but it sounds like it's maybe just dealing with the bureaucracy on one side of it or something. to
Yeah,
get it done.
and the dollar amount.
Okay.
So yeah, that'll be part of this summer's project. This is
So
gonna-
how far does that new project, what is the phase one, how far north does that go?
I'll go to, technically this is phase 2 if you wanna, the phase names have changed a few times. Phase 1 was this one over here. Phase 2 is gonna, go all the way out to Viking.
That's phase two?
Yeah.
And did you say they're doing borings, or
Borings are complete on there.
and everything's approved to go, or what is our timeline, or what are we
We're
thinking?
looking at plans and specs at the next council meeting in March.
Okay,
Craig was just finalizing them, is what he reported today, our engineer.
And that's the one that we don't have any money for yet?
This is the one that the state's paying for. We requested advance funding just to cover ourselves to get started on. The city has to pay for the utilities, and that's gonna be bid first. So that'll start, probably this spring or early summer.
Got any idea what that's gonna cost?
I don't. I haven't seen the engineer's estimate yet. He hasn't finished with them.
what is that other man's treasure deal, is that still in there?
Yes.
How does that affect them, are they done, or?
The person that owns that property is the developer is one of the developers. He's part of the development group. That's all coming out of there.
Is there a timeline on that?
When it's going in,
Yeah,
I don't think so. They're hoping to have it in as the road goes in. That's kinda why it's being pushed as fast as we can get it going. This was that Elevage property? you
Yeah.
were looking at? Yeah.
Yeah, I know exactly what it is. I'm trying to see the timeline and, you know, it's, in my mind, it's gone from a concept to well beyond a concept real fast. And I
This
know there's,
alignment isn't correct
I
either.
know there's people that know what's going on, but, I think there's a lot of us that don't know. Unless it's just me, it kind of feels like I'm in the dark on it.
No, there's a lot of people don't know.
Most of the borings weren't too bad. I think a lot of them were around 9 feet of bad soils. There was one spot that was a lot deeper up in this area, I think.
Yeah, 'cause wasn't originally that road gonna follow the golf course?
Yeah, this is an old map. I just wanted to show the phases on here. It actually
Okay.
is gonna come right along the side of this golf course.
It is, okay.
And then up through here. So the other phases in the future would be here and here. There's really not a lot of need for this piece.
So that timeline for that is out there a ways?
Until maybe a developer comes in and the city's got a priority for it.
I'd personally like to see phase 3 and 4 off the list, till we take care of some of our roads we got now. And you're right, I mean, I went driving around last week, and we've got some really, really tough roads in this city that I think should be taken care of before you know, it's nice the developer wants to come in, but why are we doing all this for the developer? He's the one making the money. And it sure as heck, in my mind, I guess, and knowing what the sewer water costs are, is not gonna pay the difference that we're putting into this stuff. And I just think it's gonna be more on, see, my concern is, I mean, we had phase 2 on there and we kept saying, no, 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 and all of a sudden it's done. And when we had put it on the list originally, we said, well, you know, maybe sometime, but we need these other roads done first. And I think that needs to be a priority. I just don't like doing stuff for a developer. And not much.
This MSA money has to be used on designated MSA roads, so there's only certain roads we can use it on too. And it's not from the general fund taxpayer money, this comes from the state of Minnesota, from your fuel and license tab taxes, that's our portion of it, I guess. And they want us to spend it, they don't want it to sit there in the bank, I mean, they wanna buy it while we can leverage it for cheaper projects rather than have it sitting in there, so.
Well, without knowing the goals, I guess, of what the city's thoughts are, I mean, are we trying to turn this into just a bunch of service roads, or are we trying to keep it East Bethel, or are we trying to build it and they will come, or? I'm just trying to reason this through in my mind. I know, Nate, that's, shouldn't be putting it on you.
So it says,
No, that's- you guys-
recommendations, none, so this is informational, or are we?
No, this is a draft one, if you guys wanna see anything moved, let me know, if you wanna keep it the same. From here, we'll go on to a city council work meeting, and then, let me pull this up too, just to give you an idea what we've got for, I know it's kinda small, but. So this is our state aid map. This includes the county state aid roads. So the county state aid roads are in orange. The blue roads are our municipal state aid streets. So we did Baton, we overlaid that last year. We overlaid Sandy. We used our state aid money for that. This is East Bethel Boulevard. These red ones are roads that are not built, that are part of our state aid plan. So we get credit for these even though there's not, like this one, there's not even a road there. And in the past, if we need to, we can move these around to, like when we redid the roads down in Coon Lake Beach, we actually had to designate this whole loop as an MSA in order to get funding for the main road coming in. So we had to actually take designation off of another road to put it in down here. So this is 181st, Jackson, going up by the school. This is University Avenue with Oak Grove off of Viking. Klondike Drive is a MSA. The green is a different type of Anoka County MSA road. You have two different ones that they get money for. Here's the Phase 3 service road. That hasn't been built. The Phase 1, this doesn't include the stuff we moved around to include this piece that was on there. We had a bunch of extra mileage that we received last year that wasn't part of this plan that we were able to designate this other part as MSA. This is the Taylor Street project we did a couple years ago. Durant and Wild Rice Drive, another big stretch. So we'll be using MSA money this year for that, up to about this point. So all that money can only be used on these roads. And this is part of our service road plan. You can see there's a couple other ones on here. This is from Klondike going up to the arena that hasn't been built. This is the one that the city pulled the plug on a couple years ago from Northway Sports up in that area up to 221st.
Oh, Johnson Street.
Johnson Street, and this is the Curac property that's on the other side of the highway that we couldn't get an agreement with the home property owner on, so.
Johnson Street, we've already got the easements.
Yes, on this side, yep.
That was one of Tom's first projects. Johnson Street, and Mr. Kohler.
Ron knows about it.
Yep.
So whatever we spend it on the MSA, it can only be on these roads, whether they're built or future roads. Or we can move around designation, but it has to meet the MSA state aid standards, so it has to be a major connector for two roads or service road.
I'd rather see Klondike than Phase 3 and 4. Again, I'm afraid if we put that on there, it's gonna be at the top of the list. So,
Am I looking at the wrong thing? Klondike is 4, isn't it?
no,
That's just a list, it's not prioritized.
Oh, I see.
Possible items.
Yep.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Phase 3 and 4, or 5 and 6.
On the numbers on the write-up, that's just a list, it's in no particular order.
Okay.
How come on Klondike there, it says gravel 1 3/4, 1.5 to 2 mil? I thought it was 2 mil to have it paved.
It's a gravel road to get it to, that's, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because there's Klondike on the other side that's paved, so we kind of refer to that blacktop Klondike and gravel Klondike. That's probably more internal, that's how we refer to when we're doing maintenance on it. Yeah, so it's 1.3, 1 3/4 to get to the blacktop portion of it. That's gravel. It's probably over 2 million at this point.
Well, petroleum's dropped right now.
Yeah.
Buy a whole bunch of asphalt. You save it.
Asphalt, our engineer had a bid opening for a project in Anoka, and he said the asphalt prices were lower than he thought, but overall project costs were up.
Most of that Klondike on that site is sod fields, correct?
Correct.
So a good portion of that, I would assume is, I mean, there's a small portion for the houses on the east end. And there's only, what, 1 or 2 businesses in there?
Yeah,
So
Blue
the rest
Ribbon
of it-
Golf and the Gun Club.
The rest of it'll all be sod fields and open for future developments, I would assume.
We talked about that thing a few times over the years. It's the cost of grading and doing all that, and the fact that it's getting wider every time it's graded, but it's, I believe you said it was pretty expensive to keep upkeep on it.
With the chloride application that we do on it, it saves a lot of grading costs in the summertime, and it makes a lot nicer road.
Yeah.
We get probably a month and a half when we don't have to grade it each summer, and it
Okay.
keeps the dust down for especially the gun club and the disc golf. But a lot of people use that as a quick way to get out to Highway 65 too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd rather see the money on them 2 service roads going on Klondike. Klondike keeps getting pushed back and back and back and back. We were talking about that when I was first on city council, 2011.
In some ways, I feel like we're being held hostage, because there's always talk of, those sod fields being developed. And it's like, well, they're just waiting for the city to pave Klondike first.
Well, that was
And it's a
the-
standoff, you know, we're waiting for a developer to come in and,
It's the same thing with phase 2, 3, and 4 service roads. I mean, I guess living in the city, and I can see the residents, I mean, if they're gonna pay for something, it might as well be one of the roads.
We can think about that one for a minute. Let's just take a quick look at the, street capital fund. So this is the one that's funded through the general fund. So this includes our chip seal projects, some of our actual maintenance comes out of this as well. For 2021, so really all we're voting on this year is what's gonna take place in 2021. That's what's gonna go to council, that's what will be included in the budget for next year.
Sure.
On here, we have Sunset Drive, reclaim and pave. This is a border street that with Linwood Township. We haven't got a confirmation from them on whether or not they wanna participate on it. We're still working on that. And 183rd
Yeah, that was
Avenue.
pretty tough.
Yeah. 183rd Avenue goes from, Greenbrook Drive into,
68.
yep, from 68 down into Coon Lake Beach, Lakeview Point area.
It's always been horrible.
That one's got a spot that goes through the, so this is Greenbrook Drive that goes kind of from Viking by the Fire Station 1 down to Ham Lake. 183rd is the main road that goes back to these houses in here. And it's pretty low through this swampy area here, it's pretty rough, we spent a lot of time patching that. To do soil corrections in there, probably pretty expensive. It might be something that we reclaim it, maybe use a geotextile and try and float the road a little bit with some, a little bit better base material. That's a little less than, I think it's about a mile stretch there. And then Sunset is up, way up on the top by Fish Lake. So this is the East Bethel Linwood border. There again, there's a low spot through here that's pretty wet, that is in rough shape. If we could get Linwood to participate, I think would be a worthwhile project.
Yeah.
And then for 2022, these two are, or these three are neighborhoods that would just get an overlay. Shenandoah Ridge, Shawnee Woods, and Pine Grove Estates. They're older developments that haven't had an overlay yet, so they still have the original pavement in them. Anderson Lakes would be 2023. These are all based on our staff and engineers' estimates on which roads are in the worst shape. And then we've got open projects for 2024 and 2025. There again, probably a overlay or possibly a neighborhood reconstruction. I think we kind of mentioned that at our last meeting, that at some point we're gonna have to start tackling some of these older developments, especially around Coon Lake.
Looks good to me, but I don't know much about it. Nothing jumps out at me. Well, bad.
And we can tour a lot of these when we do our roads tour too. I can show you in person what they look like. Is there anything you guys want to make a motion to change on this state aid side of things? You Klondike or move stuff around on here? Or it'll go to the city council for their work meeting.
And really, like, as you said, it's just the 2021 that we need to lock in, right? And then
Right.
for that's 181st Avenue reconstruction, and Ham Lake's on board, so I don't see any reason to do any of thing with that. That's the discussion of whether to remove that or replace it with something else, or are you talking about adding something?
Correct, yep.
Yeah, okay.
And if we wanna show anything as a placeholder in any other years too. Once it's on the schedule, it's easier to plan for it further down the road. It can always be moved, but it shows that we have a plan for it. It's useful for our, internal planning, it's useful for our.
So that's, I'm sorry, so that's what the possible addition list is about, you're talking about?
Yeah, they
Grabbing
could,
some of those and tossing them onto this?
you could add Klondike, you could, add another service road, you could take a service road out.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Well, definitely Klondike University, Davenport, yeah. But we're to, oh, they're already on here, that one's there, that one's there.
We don't have Klondike on the
You know,
draft.
I would make a motion to add Klondike to what year, you guys?
And we'd have to be able to show funding for it, or we'd have to advance funding, because right now we don't have enough to do Klondike in any year. It'd probably take
Oh.
3.5 years worth of MSA money to do
Oh.
Klondike.
I was excited for a minute, I got all ahead of myself.
Say at 2 million, we get 645,000 a year, you're looking at 3, maybe 4 years worth of projects to do Klondike. That's why it's been pushed down so many times, it's so expensive.
All right, I'll be quiet now.
And we're saving almost, well, $2 million to do the service road this year from the state,
Mhm.
which helps out this whole balance, keeping a positive fund on here, because last couple of years we showed negative numbers on here, advancing money, so. Financially, this budget's in pretty good shape, especially if MnDOT stands behind their money for us.
And as you said, there's nothing that says that this is carved in stone, it's just on the list, so these things that are in later years here, they can be moved and adjusted as more information comes up, correct?
Correct, yep.
All right, well, I don't see any reason to change.
And if something comes up mid-year, it would come to the road commission like we did in the past for their input as well. There's always a case where there might be something that happened like this year where they wanna get going on this development and the city had a service road plan in there, so.
Looks good to me then.
Well,
I don't see any reason to move anything other than what you've got laid out here.
So we just move to the next item or do we have no actions taken, right?
Well, if you want, we'd like to, if you don't wanna see anything change or you wanna see something change, if you would make a recommendation, then we can get it over to the city council for their work meeting.
But if not, that's what I was getting at, if not, then we just move on to the next item?
Well, either way, there should be a motion.
Oh, okay.
Otherwise, essentially, it's tabled till the next meeting.
I'll make a recommendation to leave the MSA funding analysis as is.
I'll second.
the only discussion I got is, I guess I'm not big on leaving the 4th and 5th service road on there. So I can't vote, I'm not gonna vote for that. I just see once they're on there, they're done.
And just to be clear, I mean, I see what you're saying on here, I kinda
If
left
you're
it,
just talking about that,
I left it vague, so it
Right.
could be an overlay project, it could be a service road, it's not designated as a service road, but it could be, just so we don't run into that. And the dollar amounts are just placeholders, cause those can be, they can be anywhere.
well, that's what happened to the second service road. We had it at the very bottom and said, no, let's do these others, and we said, go ahead, and.
I don't think it was, I think it's not the circumstances of it being on the piece of paper that made it so. I mean, really, if we talk about all the things, but I get your point, but I don't know that
Well, we're making, I can't vote for a recommendation for the service roads.
Yeah.
That goes against what I believe in. If it's,
Understood.
you know, to amend your
Even
motion,
though it's hanging 4 years out there?
I'm not for paying for any developer's roads. I don't think that should be on the backs of the taxpayers.
Well, to be
If the
clear,
developer wants to do it,
for this one, it's on the taxpayers, but all the money for this one we're doing now is coming from MnDOT with the exception of the utilities. City's not paying for it. We're paying for the engineering and the utilities. The road itself is being built from funds from the state,
and that's,
which is all the statewide taxes.
that's two.
That's two, yep. So it didn't really change this plan at all.
Like Jack says, once the camel's nose is under the tent, the rest of them soon to follow.
Anybody else?
I guess I'll make an amendment that 4 and 5 don't just all of a sudden pop up.
Should we clarify that for the record, so when Gail does the minutes, it makes,
Oh, I guess for the record, I'd like to amend Commissioner Dan's motion to state that service roads 3 and 4 not pop up on next month's list of roads that we're gonna do.
I could agree with that.
Any discussion on it?
The only way I see that popping up is if it becomes a valid site, just like Elvidge jumped on the bus. I think the phase on the east side of the road, that popped and that went right to the top because Elvidge jumped on. I think if a developer comes in on 3 and 4, I think it's gonna go that route regardless.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the circumstances change, things pop up, and so I'm not sure what that means, would that mean that you were saying we can't vote on that?
No.
I'm confused.
Well, actually, if that were the case, then it would come back before the roads commission.
Correct.
Do we have to have place
To get
setters
our
if you
opinion.
did? So your proposal is to remove them off of this list? Do we then need to put
Totally.
something in place of them? Or-
Well, the service roads, until there's a reason for it. I don't wanna do a build it and they will come. I think we've done a lot of that, and it's not a good, I don't think it's a good way to do business.
Just a point of order,
Yeah.
you have an amendment?
Yep.
You have no second, it's.
Yeah, we do. Ron Coon
I
said.
second.
It is-
Oh, you did,
So now we're in discussion.
sorry. So for clarification, your amendment was to remove them from this list, from our funding analysis MSA paperwork?
Until there's a need, and then come before the roads commission, and at least let us have some input. Once they're on there,
And then Nate, do we then have to put something in these spots? We can't leave them open?
well, I can just amend it to say MSA project, just leave it general. It could
Can you
be,
do that?
yeah, it could be overlay for, Jackson Street or Polk Street by the school or whatever comes up at that point. That's kinda how I had it in there. It was just real vague because I didn't have an exact project.
we'll amend the amendment to what Nate said.
Yeah.
So the motion is to approve the existing street capital fund, but except for changing in years 2024 and 2025 to state MSA project. Does that make sense?
Right,
Second. Yeah, that works for me.
any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, it's Mr. Ronning. To enlighten us with last night's meeting.
There's a couple comments, if I may, that discussion about Klondike, everything I've heard is Hoffman's not interested in selling ever.
Mm.
Other than without that, nothing's happening on that road. And, which is a shame. When 22 was down, people were coming on the east side.
Yep.
Do you remember what the numbers were on Klondike? They were
Yeah, we
huge.
had 300 cars a day before that, and it was 1,500 while the construction was taking place on Viking. So it was 5 times what the normal amount was.
And not to say that's gonna happen all the time, but there is certainly potential need for something like that, but the money just isn't there. Yeah, the discussion about, this wasn't yesterday, I think it was a work meeting, about that quick take. The only thing that's up in the air is the amount of money. They owe $9,000 some in assessments that have to be paid. And I'm not sure the real number, but I'd say 14,000 or something that's ballpark, for sack and whack charges. So, there should be some incentive for them to do something, but they are, excuse me, they aren't answering the phone calls even, emails. Not that they don't answer any, but they're maybe 1 out of 4, sounds like. So that's what pushes the buttons on that. Last night, the road commission recommendations from the capital improvement projects were voted on. I think it was either 4-1 or 5-0. Anyway, it's approved. That's all I have. Can go home now.
Anybody got any questions?
The town hall meeting is April 23rd, it's a Thursday. Barring any banning of large gatherings by then.
I got a question that I don't know if it makes any sense to ask or not, but I'm gonna just throw it out there. Watching I don't know if it was a work meeting or a council meeting, but there was, I would say probably a couple hours worth of discussion about the city's Facebook page and the social media and stuff like that. I enjoy being on the road commission because I am learning more about our community, but is there we talked about when you guys were discussing that there was gonna be somebody maintaining questions and answering questions and concerns for the social media. Do we have something for our residents? Say I live on some back road on the farthest corner of East Bethel. Is there a web page or a site that they can go to and say, I live on this road and the road is horrible? And kind of,
Good idea.
is there something like that?
Like
To
a comment or
report a
suggestion?
problem or something?
Exactly, rather than calling in, I suppose you call into the city now, but I mean, it's a lot easier, with the phones and stuff like that, you can just shoot a text or an email and say, hey,
I think there is one on.
Yeah, actually, I did
The
it with the
website
branch
has
that
it.
was hanging over a tree. I went on, there's some, I don't
There's
remember how I got
there's a
to it,
form to
there's something
report issues. I can pull it
Online
up
on the
here.
website.
There is?
Yeah.
County, or the
Yeah,
city
it's
website.
Yeah.
more geared towards like
Others.
individual items, like you said, a tree or a pothole.
I think a thing on social media for the city website, I mean, if we got a city Facebook page, why not put it out there?
Yeah, there is a way to make comments.
So if you, this is the main site here. If you go to compliments,
Yeah, compliments and concerns, there you go.
it's usually not compliments. No.
Dang good job following that last football there.
Where's the hole on that?
So these are just some common ones for public works, but you can do a general request.
Okay, so there is, okay, perfect.
Yeah,
I don't know, but for some reason I got a funky
Which,
exception. You can sign in, you can do it without signing into it, I believe. Maybe you do have to sign in. So yeah, I get a couple a week of, like a pothole or stuff like that, so. After every snowstorm, there's quite a few mailboxes and things that happen.
Thank you.
The recycle day is gonna be April 25th. That's 2 days after the town hall meeting. They're doing a tree planting out here for Arbor Day as well. And if you wanna spread the word, we have an opening for seasonal employees for the city of East Bethel for summer help, and now we have a full-time employee position open as well. So,
Who's that?
we had a retirement that took place yesterday.
Who's that?
Dallas Jelberg retired.
Really, he did, huh?
Oh, we did.
Good
Oh.
for him.
And that is, I know what the seasonal, one is the other one the same work, the full-time permanent one?
Yeah, it's the same work. It'll be, you know, in the seasonal, it's mainly, more labor intensive of mowing, a lot of park upkeep, and, some, you know, road maintenance stuff. Full-time position's a lot more involved. We raised the rates for the seasonals, it's at $14 an hour, so.
Well, might
summer
be
job.
an end to the city job if you work out.
So spread the word if you know anybody looking for a seasonal or a full-time job.
Me, and I ought to ride a lawnmower.
Who's, gonna, oh, never mind. Let's say, who's gonna take over for Dallas, but never mind. Well, no, we dealt with him a lot with the recycling.
Yep.
Building and stuff, yeah,
Who
no,
was
that's
taking
great.
his job?
Well, we're hiring for his actual position, but job duties are being spread out between our existing employees.
Alrighty, then, any more questions for Nate? That being said, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.